a heart-to-heart conversation and say what I wanted to say. You were the only person who was there and who dedicated that time to me to have that conversation and figure out if I'm on the right track or a wrong track. So I'll always be ever grateful to you.
Sweta, I said, Sweta, can you just review it? And she did it. She did a review for me too, and she assessed. Right, those are services I highly encourage.
I wouldn't be lying if I were to say that I had started my job search ever since I got my PR way back in 2019. But nothing really clicked. And thankfully, after I met Sweta, yes, that's when I finally started getting job interviews, and I landed a job at my dream company.
I would definitely consider it as an investment.
Some of what I needed. So it was a tailored, I guess, sessions that we had, which was good. So it wasn't just a package that we went through an agenda and checked the box each as we went through, which I appreciate.
And the way you have led my from resume to my job to my job moving, the negotiation things, I think it has been an upward trend for me.
I'm not getting a job because I don't know how to speak in an interview. This is what you taught me. This is what you taught me, the value of branding yourself, that money is worth spending hour that I did on myself. But why they're not teaching this in school? Because this is the most important thing they need to do in the college.
But I wish I came to you earlier, like right after I came to Canada. So like it's perfect.
Very consoling. So, that helped me regain confidence.
There was a break point in my life and I was like, Sweta, hey, you got to help me out. I am in a bad spot right now. I really don't know what to do. And Sweta found out that what was lacking and what could help me. Finally got
in Canada as a newcomer so many years ago. I still go through that memories, right? It's completely transparent session today. It's all about your stories, the way you brand. And today, we're going to talk about 7 P's of personal branding. I personally applied for myself. When you move to the new country, when things do not happen, how are you going to bounce back, right? You had the hope you moved. And then now the jobs, you're not getting a job. You just got laid off. Or let's say you were let go or you want to quit, you can't quit. There's so many factors as an immigrant. It impacts immigrants more than anyone who's born in that country. Now there's a visa, there's a status, there's so many things. And things are going to be hard. It is hard for some of you right now. But the story like this, you have to share because the only competition right now is you. That's it. There's no one else you need to compete. Your competition should be past. I want you to take a look at it and celebrate each moment, how far you've come. Does that resonate with you? Say, yes, it resonates with me. There's only moving ahead now, right? From the past. So I want you to think about it. Personal branding is not your title. One size does not fit all, a career strategy. It's going to be amazing because I want to create the community of immigrants to showcase to the world what's possible. Right? When we as an immigrant community come in, you saw people in hijab, you saw Rihan with the beard, you saw all those people with accent, people were immigrant there. You saw people in a role, director role, senior manager, executive. I have brought so many guests to make sure that every one of you can look at them and say, I want to be there someday. They thought the same way before going into the program. And afterwards, they're like, okay, it's possible. I can't believe it's possible. You heard people like Rishi making 6-figure, right, as a newcomer. So when you hear stories like that, I want you to own that and say, it's possible. It's a mindset. Let's hang around with the people like that who will show you the path. In the immigrant community, we're not going to talk about people. We're going to talk about career. Enough of talking about people. Let's talk about career. When was the last time in your community you talked about career? When I landed in Canada, nobody talked about career. Still this day, people don't talk about career, promotion, strategy, nothing. Personal branding. I am going to give you my lived experience and a disclaimer here, it might not work with everybody. That's why when I teach in my class, it's customized based on their need, right? I'm not going to tell people you have to go out there and write the content all the time to get noticed. It might depend on the targeted role too. Hear me out here. All right. I chose to do that because now I was a consultant and I chose to start with my story, the story I gave you. So I can relate to one person out there, even if I can relate to one person out there. Right. And I want you to think about from the job seeker perspective now. Okay. Define the type of employer. First is personal stories. Stories, your stories matters, no matter what kind of job title you have. My stories mattered from like so many years ago. It depends how you spin around it, right? That's what it matters. Your story might not matter to everybody. So is my story. It might not matter to everybody out there. So I'm going to build a story around what matters to the people who are attending. So if I am doing the session for a layoff individual, I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to showcase how did I bounce back after layoff. My storyline would be, in 1 minute, I got laid off over the phone after working there for 12 years. Can you believe that? Look at the hook and stories, right? That line, punchline would be completely different. The hook would be completely different. So I'm only trying to speak to the people who are layoff survivors. You see, that's exactly, you got to have them at hello when you're looking for a job. And remember, I talked about the career clarity. One of the example, if you want to be a financial advisor, your story could be really personal, right? When you're writing a cover letter, when you're writing the content, why did you decide to be a financial advisor, right? Well, I saw so many things at home that I never want to be part of that when it came to financial struggle. And that was the day I decided I'm going to take this and educate the world about finances, how to manage, so it does not destroy your relationship, because I've been there, right? Trying to relate the emotions is really hard. When you go and walk through the same situations with the other people, you can relate, right? I bet you can relate with the other immigrant who are going with the same struggle. There's a human aspect to it. So the personal stories matters. And that's what it matters when it comes to employers too. Their personal pain is your personal story. How about that? Write it down there. Example. They are having call after call and they cannot manage their queue. Now, what are you going to do about it? The main problem for them is the call volumes is spiking up. Customer service queue is nonstop. The painful experience for them, and they cannot manage. The manager cannot manage. Now you identify the pain. Do you have that solution? How do you do it? The hook should be something different, right? So that's when you need the data validation. So I'm literally here going with the sessions. All I needed was testimonial from the client with a real face on, no screenshot, nothing like that, real stories. I've invited them. That's my validation that my program works for you. So you have to have a data and validation, references, recommendations are going to hire you based on your data. Gone are the days you're going to talk about, I'm result-oriented, hardworking. That's none of it when it comes to personal branding. Are you with me so far? All right, so I'm going to go on a workbook. We are on time. I have Director Mayuk today joining us, and he was a newcomer. He was headhunted. Branding, headhunted. He got the role right away when we started the sessions, and he's just switched the role from senior management to the director. How inspiring is that? Like, you know, if you actually do the homework, execute it, the branding works. Look in the house. You're there. Or 4 minutes from now. Come backstage, buddy. All right. I'm going to go very quickly. Second one is passion. I mean, you can build all the personal branding and whatever, but what if you don't like the job? Look at the workbook that you have. And if you've not gotten the workbook, it's down there. Just download it. So start writing it, because there's going to be assignment. So passion, would you love what you do? And not negotiable, right? For you, find out. I am the first one to say, well, I don't like everything I do, but then I like at least 80% of what I do. I know, and then things that I don't like, I'll delegate, right? So you have to have the passion, because at the end of the day, you'd be working with people like, you know, more than 8 hours, right? So you have to develop that passion. Are you the right fit for that role too? You have to identify that. And some people just feel like that grass is always greener on the other side. You have to test it out. This is where shadowing, volunteering, so many things comes in. Would you like it? Sometimes you get the job and you feel like this is not for me. That happened to me. I quit. I quit twice because I didn't have a passion to be that person. Our passion could change from last year to this year, depending on the life too. Just remember that, right? Just have that thought. Your perception matters. What your boss thinks about you, the ex-bosses, ex-colleagues, everybody, perception matters. As much as I would say, like, what other people think about you is none of your business. When it comes to career, it is your business. And homework for you right now, assignment, workbook, what would other people think about you? Write 3 words, more than that. Has to have a soft skills and technical skills there, right? Positioning now. So you've identified all those about you. Now, how are you going to communicate when someone's going to ask you, hey, what do you do for a living? It's not a title. Positioning statement would be based on the CAR model. And I'm going to go through that tomorrow on a resume interview. How do you talk about your positioning using the CAR model? Remember Ray came in who went through the CPA. He's like, I can't even believe that I used the CAR model for my CPA exam. He was not lying. So the other one is people. Who are the people you're going to reach out to, right? Do you have a like people who are going to put your name in a room full of opportunity? You should have that, right? That's the perception. And my job that I had so many years ago, if I were to call that manager, the perception is so good that he would be able to give me the references. And people who always helped you out, you always put them on network, right? Mayuk didn't have to go today. Like, he's a busy person. He got promoted. He's a busy person, but like that's a leadership skills. When I ask people like Mayuk, like, do you want to come in, share inspiring stories? No ifs and buts. Like, I am in, right? That's called leadership skills. Your presence matters as well, right? How do you plan and then talk about yourself matters. It's not always about you, right? It's about like, are you there? Body language to like, are you listening? Are you really there? How are you representing yourself matters too, right? More detail. I teach that in my class. And unfortunately, when I do these kind of sessions for 5 days, there's so much to do. And I wanted to make sure I don't want to do info dumping. And there's a reason for it, because I want you to walk away with what are you doing that you can work on it? What are the challenges in that 7 Ps that you're suffering, you're going through, right? And that's where you got to write it down. You might not be suffering in everything. Like, the last one is preach publicly. If you don't brag about yourself, who's going to brag about yourself? And that could be for you, preaching on a resume, bragging. As an immigrant people, we don't like bragging because we are told not to brag it. So we got to own it, especially with the people of color and women. We don't like to take a credit. You got to own that too, right? When was the last time you bragged about yourself? Evidence and data to prove it. You don't have to brag. Hopefully that makes sense. With that being said, I'm going to bring Mayuk right here. He's backstage. I'm super excited. Mayuk, welcome to my show. Thank you so much for coming in. So you have to tell people, when did you land in Canada? How did you get the job? And how many days it was? Why did you even invest it? Thinking that you're a senior leader, why did you think that the investment in one size does not fit all career strategy matter to you?
First of all, Sweta, thank you so much for having me here. So that was bang in the middle of the entire pandemic scenario. So of course, my wife and I, we were very much apprehensive, because job search, that was the most important thing on our minds. We had left a very cushy job in Middle East, and we had decided to take on some uncertainty. And as you can expect, lots and lots of rejections. I don't know why, if those rejections were because I did not have Canadian experience, or just because there were too many applicants for every job. But I was getting nothing, basically. Some rejections, in most cases, no one would even respond. And that is when, Sweta, I just came across your profile in the social media, and I decided to take on the course. And I think I've expressed this before, and I will say this again, that I am very happy that I took that, because it helped me a lot. Building the resume, building your brand, all the different things that I learned from, how to build your brand, how to tailor my resume according to the different jobs, how to actually have the proper LinkedIn profile in place. All of these things, I took it much more seriously once I went through your course. 2 months after joining, I landed my first job. And in the interview process, I have to say that the tricks and tips which I learned from you that definitely played a part, as you mentioned that not bragging, but more like putting across your strengths, letting the recruiter know that these are your strengths, why you are different from the others. It's like positioning in marketing. You have to tell them what you bring to the table. So those are the things which I consciously did during my interview process in my first job, which was basically a sustainable fashion wear business. And I joined in a senior management position, although based on talks with many people, I was like, I probably will have to start at a much lower position than where I was in the Middle East, but that did not happen. I joined at a very good position. And after about a year and a half, I got approached on LinkedIn by a recruiter who wanted me for a more consulting role. So that was also very exciting. That meant that all my experience, around a decade of experience in retail, now I could leverage it and use it in a consulting role rather than an operational retail role. And definitely in this case, my LinkedIn profile is what must have impressed them, because I did not reach out to the recruiters. They reached out to me, which means that the skill sets which I put in, the way I had, built up my resume on LinkedIn, following again the feedback which I received from you, the materials which I received from you. So I had used that, and I got got contacted by the recruiters, and I joined as a director of consulting in my new company. So it was great to go from senior manager to a director of consulting, to working in a company now, to advising clients how to improve their systems and how to leverage the full capability of artificial intelligence, machine learning enabled systems to improve their business. So that was a nice transition. So once again, Sweta, just wanted to share this and say a very big thank you for this, because what I learned from you really, really helped.
Thank you so much for saying that. It's amazing how people see. I've been talking to people all the time, especially newcomers and immigrants. Well, you're going to have to dumb it down. You're going to have to start from bottom, right? And when people come in and work with me, I tell people, you don't need me to be there to help you if you want to dumb it down. We're going to go and shoot the same one, if not like similar thing that you did back home, right? And I'm so glad you stretched yourself. You went from the management to the senior role, and now you're a director. How does that feel? Are you living a Canadian dream now, you think?
Oh, well, I will say that, I'll put it this way, that the journey has just begun. Times are a bit tough. The economy is almost like in a recession right now. So naturally, there are lots of pressures, but when the going gets tough, that's when the tough is supposed to get going. So I would say lots of challenges in front of me, but the journey so far has been very enriching, full of challenges. But if there are no challenges, you don't learn, you don't grow. So these challenges are actually an opportunity if you look at it that way. So as you said, that from manager to senior manager to director, so far it has been a very enriching journey, Sweta.
Oh my God, thank you. You've just said it beautifully. If we don't, tough time teaches us so many lessons. And I share that same thing as well. If you had it easy, if you had no rejection, you would not have invested in yourself and give it a try. You dropped down everything and it worked for you. And I, as much as I want to take a credit from it, but I want to give you kudos for doing things. And I know I stretched it out. I was like, what's going on? Do this, do that, right? Because I'm that person. And that's the leadership qualities that people have. Just like you were a hiring manager, you were doing it, you knew it all. When you walk through that presentation during the interview process, you were like, you had everything. You were so good. And we're like, okay, to actually even go out there and get a help, that's a qualities that a lot of us don't have. Being self-aware and self-reflecting. I think I've tried it all. Well, thank you for believing in me and my program.
Thanks, Sweta. I think I've expressed this earlier, wanted to take this opportunity to say it again. Thank you so much for all that guidance. And it's not a one-time thing. As you said that, it's the career is a long-term thing. So I'm sure I will keep using the things I learned from you again and again, because those are not tailored just towards one job or, just the next job. It's a long-term thing. So I would still say I'm in the learning stage, because there was a lot of things that I learned from you. I hope that I can keep utilizing it, and take those lessons forward and share it with others as well.
Absolutely. And you're already inspiring people by sharing what you learn. And that's exactly what we want immigrants to do. Hey, asking for help is not a weakness. It's actually an investment. And thank you for doing that, Mayuk. And I know you're busy. I'll let you go. Thank you so much for coming in and sharing your inspiring journey.
Thanks, Sweta, once again for having me. See you.
Bye, Mayuk.
Bye.
You heard him right there, right? How people told him you might have to dumb it down, but he got the senior management role and he was a manager in Kuwait, right? He got it. Next time he got headhunted by recruiters. The job was posted, but they actually reached out to him saying that, hey, do you want to do this? And then obviously he applied and he used a similar strategy. It's amazing to have people like that, how the branding works. There's a reason I invited him, because branding is not a one-time thing. It's going to happen all the time if you are consistent. Just think about it. That assignment that you have when it comes to 7 P's of branding, now you know. What are these? I gave you away. Go back and see it. So that would be personal, passion, perception, positioning, people, presence, preach, right? And these round thing, you have to evaluate, what are you missing? What are you going to do about it? How are you going to do it? You can learn everything, you can hear it, but you have to write it down. How are you going to execute it? Happen tomorrow. We're going to go fantastic. We're going to have fantastic session. Resume and interview framework. The same framework landed people in top companies. Having them at Hello Technique and car model that's been renowned. And my client keeps on practicing that, right? Rishi said, okay, I still remember your technique, having them at Hello Technique. And Ray was like, I still remember the car technique. I use it every day. Things like that, I teach them. I'll show you example of value propositions using the car statement as well tomorrow. You don't want to miss this. Now, for the last time, I'm opening the enrollment for immigrant community in Canada and states and around the world. If you are targeting the right role, if you're qualified and you're not getting even single interview or getting high, right? The program's already successful, but this is exclusively for immigrants who are already here and they want career promotions and they don't know how to do that. Also the newcomers, they are qualified and they're still stuck with the survival jobs, right? This is a program to work with me one-to-one. Everyone who came in as a guest paid a lot more than what you see right now, a lot more, because one-to-one. But this is a group sessions that I'm going to go through. You're going to go get the digital course, which you would have access to it for months. And we're going to jump in a weekly coaching session as well. I'm going to review it. It's unlimited weekly sessions, right? You don't get that elsewhere. And you're going to be talking to the immigrant community as well, whoever comes up in the program. You would have a group of people, right? These are the things. I'm opening it just for a limited time. The link is down there. Click on it, put your name on it. Only for people who are going to execute it. This is not for people. This is absolutely not for people who are going to blame the system, not going to do the work. I'll make you do the work. Don't sign up. Don't sign up. Don't waste your money. If you think that by attending it, you'll get any dream job. That dream job doesn't happen just like that. These people, they worked hard for it. People who I share testimonial before, people like Sogantika, Kriti, Bharat, right? Zaid, all newcomers. Right? So Gontika landed in Deloitte, first job, Q&A with me personally. We can see face-to-face. Come join me. And the link would be sent an email as well for you. So if you want to come in, Zoom, Saturday at noon, get to ask me questions about this program as well, if you are interested to invest in yourself. With that being said, thank you so much for coming in and joining me today here. And for immigrant community, you left your home, not your brain and skills behind. You got this. Your today is not going to be tomorrow. Anything is possible if you put the mindset to it. It's about time for you to execute it. All right.